This is a gameplay and review of a new game called Dice Legacy. This one is very interesting. The game classifies itself as a roguelite city builder type of game similar to something like Frostpunk. The game takes place in a ring floating in space, and it's kind of eerie and cool and very different. I like the vibe that Dice Legacy brings to the table. Dice Legacy is a real-time strategy sim city building type of game where you have to manage and control a lot of things going on in the game. This game works very different from most games of its same culture. Instead of having units, you actually have a set of dice that you set out to do things. And these dice can be rolled in your inventory to give you different faces of the dice so that you can perform unique tasks with each of the dice at specific buildings that you build while you're trying to get in resources. Obviously getting wood from the trees, stone from like the mines, iron from iron mines, and even food from different like hunting grounds, or even by making wheat by using buildings to kind of just, a building simulator. It's literally a building simulator. It's like playing Age of Empires, but you're controlling dice instead of villagers, and they each have a specific use. In terms of a story, the game doesn't really have one. You just kind of like endlessly build until you lose. And it gets quite tough. Like, the game is super challenging because it features so many different things that make the game really time management based. You have to make the correct decisions. If you do something wrong, it punishes you, and it's not afraid to do so. But it's not too hard to come back unless you really messed up. So let's talk about the gameplay. The gameplay revolves around you building up your settlement as fast as you can, and also trying to sustain yourself, making sure you get enough wood, stone, gold, iron, wheat, ale, herbs, getting all of these different things, including like food, for example, because you'll be using them to keep your civilization healthy, because there is a happiness value for your citizens. And need I mention that your citizens come in different classes? Like, you have peasant, which you can tell the peasants are the orange dice, and then you get like the citizens that are green dice, and soldiers that are blue dice, and each of these have unique properties that they can have on their dice themselves. You even have a ranking system on the dice that can give it like a 2, a 3, so that they perform like 3 times their role. So in some buildings where it says like it needs 3 builders, if you have one dice that has the hammer icon and has a 3, you can use that dice to act as if it was 3 dice of its same kind. And while you're managing your party here, you can only have like 12 dice at all times, which is really difficult to work with because you have to constantly deal with so many factors holding you back. Like, for example, the game goes through different seasons, so like summer and then winter. When winter is here, you can see there's snow, but the problem is that winter comes with a really difficult thing to work with. I wanted to say the S word, but it's actually really brilliant because it makes you really work out of your comfort zone. You have to build things like a steam generator so that in that radius of that building, the workers can work without being frozen, because if they're frozen, they need to go to a building called a tavern. And if you don't have a tavern, well, it's going to be a rough winter, and you basically have to try survive attacks. The further you push out in the map, you get attacked more and more frequently, that you use your soldier or the sword icon faced on the dices to attack. And if you have all your dice dead or frozen, you kind of end up in a point where these enemies just burn down all of your hard work until you wait for summer. So it's a little unforgiving at times. If you're looking for a hardcore strategy game, this is definitely for you. It's really difficult. Honestly, I wish I could go back and play on the easiest difficulty because it was kind of tough. I had to restart my game after an hour and a half because I was like, dude, I made all the wrong choices. I learned so many different things, and I wanted to start out in a completely different way, and the difference it made was crazy. To make matters even more challenging, something I should have mentioned earlier is that dice have a durability. The main number that you see on the dice here is actually their durability. That's not the power that I was mentioning earlier. The power is actually a smaller number. The durability is how many times the dice can be used. Once it gets to 0, it dies. It dies, and you have to make a new one. And you do this by adding 2 peasants in a house. They make another peasant, and then you can send the peasants to school to make citizens, and send any of them to the barracks to turn them into a soldier. And there's 5 different types of classes of dice that you can have. And you can even do this thing where you upgrade them. You make them stronger by either empowering them or kind of constructing them and turning them into a construct where they basically form 2 dice into 1, and then boom, they both get sacrificed to make some powerful dice, which is quite interesting as well. I can tell you one thing for sure, the gameplay will keep you on your toes the entire time. I could not relax at all because you're always rushing to have enough resources to survive winter or to make sure you have the right things, you're making the right progress, because if you progress slowly, it can get a little tough, especially if you get stale. If you get stale progress, the game will torture you. I'm not even kidding. As for the controls, the game tries to teach you the controls early on. Like, you can have dice that you can lock. When you hold Alt and you click them, you lock them. When you hit spacebar, you roll the dice. So any dice that's like not in use right now will be rolled and will change into different faces of the dice, because obviously a dice can be used in different kinds of like faces, obviously like 1 to 6 or different icons, as you can see. Another neat tip for the controls is to actually hold shift and left click to send dice to any of the buildings immediately, or food or wheat or whatever. It just saves you some time, and it's kind of just how the controls are. You can use left click to drag to pull the map up and forward until the furthest reaches that you can go and unlock. And you can hold right click while looking at one of the dice in any of the buildings to recall them back into your kind of like dice inventory. Overall, the controls are really simple and nothing to really struggle with. Let's talk about the graphics. I think the graphics are stunning. It's nice, it's colorful, vibrant, really like sticks in your face. You're not too far away, but you're also not too close. The only times I think the graphics can get really annoying is when you have like two buildings that are so close to each other that you can't really tell what each building is. Like there's so many. You have to like remember where you placed it and what it does. But that also might just be a syndrome of like me not knowing what every building does off by heart just yet. So yeah, overall graphics are fantastic, dude. I love it. It's just perfect. I wouldn't know how to make them better, and that is a good thing. If we talk about sound, I am equally as happy about sound as I am with graphics. You have the dice effect, you have the different battles, you have the different key warning things. It's really immersive. Every time I played the game, I was immediately stuck into like, okay, cool, gotta make progress, gotta do this. And there was no time for me to stop and go like, oh, well, that sucks, or that's annoying, or it was generally a good experience. I don't have anything really negative to say about the game, other than that it might just be a little bit difficult for new players. So let's look at my final question that I ask in every review. Is the game fun? Is it enjoyable? Did I like playing it? Absolutely. This was so fun. It reminded me of a really difficult Age of Empires or, RTS game back from the olden, like, early 2000s. The game does a fantastic job of keeping you on your toes and always being ready for what's next, or at least trying to be ready, because actually being ready is a whole different thing, because you really need to keep up. You really need to know what you're doing, and learning this game and coming back to it with your newfound knowledge and playing again with like new cards and things or new dice that you unlock is really how you're meant to play. It's just progress as much as you can, and then keep replaying and seeing how much further you can get in different types of instances that the game challenges you in for the campaign. So yes, absolutely, I think the game is fun, though it might not be for everybody. If you find games that are too difficult, not really for you, then yeah, other than that, the game is perfect. If you want a challenge, then this game is for you. So you can check out in the description for more information about the game and where you can purchase it on either Steam or Nintendo Switch. So this is Dice Legacy, and this is my review, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching.